All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how to hire a Klaviyo Tech for your e-commerce email marketing agency. So first things first, we need to understand how the role actually fits into the structure of e-commerce email marketing agencies. Typically, in different agencies, we see account managers, email designers, a copywriter, and a Klaviyo Tech. Basically, you set up different pods, and these pods fulfill client work. So you sign in a new client on a retainer. They want X amount of emails a month. They want you to handle all of their e-commerce email marketing. You would feed that client to a pod. Typically, it ranges from 6 to 10 clients per pod, depending on how many emails that you're sending out monthly per client. So that's kind of their capacity. 6 to 10 is typically what we see. Something that's interesting about this Klaviyo Tech and then also the copywriters is often they're not full-time roles. There's something that's more part-time, unless you have a lot of pods. Because what does a Klaviyo Tech actually do? A Klaviyo Tech is responsible for building some flows, doing the sign-up forms, performance insights, and segmenting audiences, as well as doing some fine-tuning on email designs. So often when you upload a design from Figma actually into Klaviyo, there's going to be some changes that need to be made in the formatting. Now, it's not very efficient to reach out to your designers and say, hey, could you remake this in Klaviyo? Because chances are they probably don't know Klaviyo very, very well, as much as someone who's a Klaviyo tech who just spends their time inside of Klaviyo. And so it's very difficult to make like a full-time role from this because this type of stuff is done maybe when you first sign a client, or it's just an ongoing reporting, a couple forms, segmentation, changing some emails, how they're uploaded in the formatting. It's something that's difficult to create a full-time role. If you have a lot of pods, let's say you have 4 or 5 pods of account managers and email designers, you can for sure have a full-time Klaviyo tech. But majority of the times, it's just something that is part-time. So for this one, this was a full-time hire that we did for a client. It's a very, very similar job description. Again, I already listed the responsibilities. And the most important thing that they need to know is obviously Klaviyo. We don't want someone who just started learning Klaviyo. We want someone with a track record of 3-4 years of experience with just Klaviyo, someone who's focused on that. Now, as far as different countries that you can hire from all across the globe in this scenario. They don't necessarily need to have like super high English level. They're not customer facing or client facing. So they're not really jumping on calls. They're just doing that segmentation, the list building, etc. Right? And so that opens it up to cheaper talent across the globe. Maybe you're hiring from India, Philippines, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. These different regions across the globe are very, very filled with Klaviyo techs for the e-commerce email marketing world. So how do you find someone like this? Normally, you could go to, let's say, like Upwork, or you could go to Fiverr. But the problem with this is twofold. One, it's very hard to build your business with a key role around someone who's a freelancer and has 15, 20 different clients, right? The other side of it is the prices for these freelancers are going to be very, very expensive compared to what you could get for someone part-time working with almost exclusively just your agency. So this guy in Morocco, 25 an hour, India, 60, 25 in Sri Lanka, 50 here in Ukraine. Um, those rates can be found a lot cheaper, 500,000, 1,500 a month for someone full-time as a Klaviyo tech compared to someone who's charging $50 an hour, right? So when you hire someone part-time or full-time for your agency just to work with you, you're going to be able to get cheaper rates than just going to Upwork or going on to Fiverr and gambling. You don't want to have to rely on someone who has 20 other clients ahead of you in the process of them fulfilling. Because what's going to happen is imagine you need a last minute edit, right? Or you need something that was formatted wrong or some changes to a sign up flow or a welcome flow. You're going to reach out to your Klaviyo tech on Upwork. They're going to be like, look, I'm working on some other projects right now. I'll get to it towards the end of the day or the next couple of days. And frankly, it's just really hard to make a solid business with solid client results and delivery based off of that. So how do you find one that's not on Upwork or Fiverr? One of the things you can do is you can go into LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, what we'll do is we'll search Klaviyo Tech. Now, that's what I used for this. I searched Klaviyo Tech. It only brought up about 19 results, right? So we need to brainstorm, or what are other job titles that fit this role? Well, we know for sure someone's going to have that keyword of Klaviyo, right? So maybe it's Klaviyo specialist, email marketing specialist, e-commerce email specialist. We can click on this guy. DTC email and SMS. He currently works at an agency, right? He's worked at other ones in the past, well-known Klaviyo agencies. We look across this, we see in Egypt, he's been working with Mailer Profit, another agency. So this guy could be a solid Klaviyo Tech, right? If we just search Klaviyo, we get about 6,500 different results. So we need to narrow this down. Let's go by location. So imagine we choose Nigeria, because there are a lot who are there. 600 different results for Klaviyo Techs, right? Email marketing designer and Klaviyo specialist. He's been working on Upwork and then also for different agencies, so he has experience. Click on this guy. I'm just choosing these at random. See a lot of people who've worked in different agencies and they have years of experience. Now, usually what happens is these people on this list are going to be significantly cheaper than someone on Upwork or Fiverr with 20 different bosses. This person wants a solid role. They want a single boss or only just a couple bosses to be able to do work, right? They want that structure, that security, a monthly paycheck. Now that is not necessarily a bad thing. In other roles it can be. Maybe you're hiring for sales. You don't want someone who's just like an hourly worker. But in this, on the fulfillment side, you don't want to be dealing with Upwork and Fiverr and reaching out to these people where you're just another one of their 20, 30 different clients. So for this is one of the best ways to find Klaviyo Techs. And Klaviyo Techs are on the cheaper side of things, and you really only need someone part-time unless you have a bunch of different pods. So to make sure that you get this right, make sure that you write out a solid job description that lists every single thing that they're going to do. It's best to have them just focus on the Klaviyo side. I don't like to have email designers mixed with Klaviyo Techs. I don't think it works out very well. You need to segment the roles to just have them focus on what they're actually good at. Email designers should only be doing email design. Account managers should only be communicating with clients and going over the strategy and coming up with the sending campaigns and those types of things, basically running the pod. Copywriters just focus on copy. They're not supposed to be all over the place doing a bunch of different roles. When you're smaller, when you're like 10K a month, 15K a month, you can have people wear multiple hats, similar to you, the founder. But as you scale, it needs to be productized. And the only way you can get that productization and an assembly line for clients is by having everybody have one role that they're focused on. So a Klaviyo Tech is usually one of the beginner hires that you do after you hire maybe an email designer or that account manager. The Klaviyo Tech is something that you can find on LinkedIn, go into, let's say, Nigeria, Egypt, Philippines, India, all these different places. And English doesn't necessarily need to be amazing on the spoken side because all they're doing is just setting up different flows. They're doing different reporting. So if they actually have a good analytical skill set and they have that experience in Klaviyo, working with multiple agencies, they're going to most likely be a solid fit. That's all for today's video. It's one that's on the shorter side, but this is something that's been heavily requested by different clients on how best to find these Klaviyo Techs.